Amazing Chinese billionaire MOCKS black waiter discover the life-changing response that expose. Marcus hustled through the packed diner, dashing between tables and swirling around booths like a well-oiled machine. The aroma of grilling burgers and simmering sauces filled the air, and the clattering dishes blended into a chaotic symphony of laughter and chatter. At 33, he felt the weight of two worlds on his shoulders, serving food to strangers while his heart whispered of dreams to create them. Each shift here was a marathon, but he ran it for two, for his ailing mother, and for the promise he made one fateful day to become a chef in his own right. But holding tight to dreams was tough. Each night blurred into the next, and every weary dollar earned felt overshadowed by the crippling fear that time was slipping through his fingers. His mother's frail voice echoed in his mind, reminding him, "Stand tall, my son, show them your heart." Today, that heart would face an unexpected challenge. Just as he thought the evening briskness wouldn't deliver any surprises, Mr. Chen swept in. The billionaire sauntered with an entourage around him, a wave of opulence that turned heads. Laughter erupted from their table, igniting the energy in the room. But then, in a remarkable pivot, Mr. Chen caught Marcus's eye, his voice cutting through the din. "You call this dining? Look at him, a waiter with such pedestrian dreams." Gasps filled the diner. Marcus felt the heat rise in his chest as laughter cascaded from the billion-dollar table. Every chuckle landed like a punch, mockery and disdain dancing in the air, turning his aspirations into fodder for amusement. Trying to maintain his composure, he clenched his jaw, pouring coffee as if nothing was wrong, while inside he was battling humiliation with every ounce of dignity he had left. But a surge of hope flickered when a familiar face spoke up, a retired schoolteacher who frequented the diner. "Mr. Chen, a job doesn't define a man's worth. Just look at Marcus." The words swirled through the room, igniting fervor like a spark in dry grass. The regulars nodded. They felt the heat of the moment. "Yes, we see his hard work and kindness every day." Another diner chimed in. The laughter turned to murmurs of support, and for that fleeting moment, Marcus felt buoyed by the community that knew him personally. Still, doubt lingered deep inside. Should he step forward now, or let the noise fade away? Feeling the rush of blood in his ears, Marcus summoned the strength to respond. "I work hard for my dreams, Mr. Chen," he began, "and one day you'll hear my name." But before he could finish, the energy shifted, and the laughter erupted again, harsh cackles targeting his raw courage. His cheeks burned. The mockery wrapped around him like a suffocating blanket. Just as he walked away from their taunts, his mother's voice rang louder in his thoughts, holding him steady. Over the next days, he resolved to turn this humiliation into fuel. Drawing on love for his mother and newfound support from his patrons, he focused not just on serving, but crafting his culinary skills. Slowly, he began to transform the sting of defeat into resilience. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. As fate rolled the dice again, an unexpected run-in with Mr. Chen would spark the definitive clash that put their worlds on parallel paths. Would a moment of reckoning offer both men a chance for redemption? The answers loomed just out of reach, as Marcus set plates for another dinner service, his heart steadying for what was to come. The soft ding of the kitchen bell signaled that orders were up, and Marcus darted back into the bustling chaos of the diner. His heart raced not just from the pressure of the shift, but from the fire ignited within him after facing Mr. Chen's mockery. He filled each plate with an extra sprinkle of passion, determined to embody more than just a waiter. With every burger flipped and every salad tossed, he poured his dreams into his work. He crafted each dish with meticulous care. Imagine the flavors dancing on the tongues of patrons. Cooking was no longer about survival. It was about proving himself, both to the world and to that billionaire who thought he was beneath notice. Days passed, and the diner became an extension of Marcus's aspirations. The regulars soon noticed the transformation in his cooking. This new special is fantastic, an elderly woman said, delight lighting up her face. You've really outdone yourself, Marcus. Thanks. I'm trying to elevate the menu, he replied, a smile breaking through his fatigue. Yet, beneath the surface of burgeoning confidence, fear lurked. What if this was temporary? Every culinary triumph was a reminder of the stake he had. He often wondered if his dreams were noble or foolish, a fine line he balanced with every plate he served. The night of the first food festival arrived. Chatting with colleagues, he felt a jittery excitement build. For weeks, he'd been working on a dish that showcased his homage to his mother's recipes. It was a blend of memories and fresh elements, something truly representative of his journey. The diner had entered a contest for best local food carts, and Marcus was ready to stake his heart on it. Amid the frenzy of knife clinks and sizzling pans, the sight of Mr. Chun's familiar silhouette swept through the crowd, a dash of pure opulence in a sea of ordinary people. For a moment, time froze as they locked eyes again. Panic swirled in Marcus's gut. Would he simply endure another sly remark? But then he remembered the community rallying behind him. He was not alone in this. Mustering his courage, Marcus approached the Billionaire's table, where Mr. Chun lounged, laughing with friends. "Excuse me, sir," Marcus said, his heart pounding. "I wanted to invite you to try something special I've crafted for the festival." Mr. Chun raised an eyebrow, surprise flickering in those sharp eyes. "You? A chef? How delightful," he sneered, as laughter crackled at his table. "Please, just one bite," Marcus urged, the fire in his voice rising. "You might be surprised what a waiter can cook when given a chance." The words flew out before he could question his own boldness. The surrounding chatter hushed, tension riding over diners hoping for a spectacle. Marcus offered a small plate topped with the culinary creation he had poured his soul into. The air throbbed with anticipation, his heart beat a drum roll against the silence. Skepticism etched on Mr. Chun's face. He lifted the fork. Was this the moment where dreams collided with disbelief? What would happen after that first bite? Would it open doors or reinforce the walls that had held him down? The tomorrow was uncertain, but tonight, everything was on the line. What would Mr. Chun's response reveal? Would it be a world of doors opening, or would he simply double down on his disdain? The seconds ticked by, each one filled with raw tension, as all eyes turned toward Mr. Chun and his first taste. Mr. Chun raised the fork to his mouth, his steely gaze piercing through the crowd as they watched with bated breath. The diner quieted, a stillness settling over the chaotic food festival. The moment felt surreal, as if time was suspended just for this singular instance. With a slight flick, the flavorful concoction touched his lips, and the world fell away. A swirl of spices and memories flooded Marcus's mind. He could almost hear his mother's laughter wrapped around the aroma, guiding him through every careful ingredient he had chosen. The fork lingered before Mr. Chun's mouth for an eternity. His expression remained unreadable, the sharp lines of his face unyielding. Around them, whispers rippled through the crowd, a mixture of curiosity and anticipation. Then he chewed. The silence was electric, crackling like the tension before a storm. Patrons leaned forward, their eyes wide, mouths almost forgotten in the face of potential revelation. Would this be the moment of impact, the push that could change everything? Mr. Chun's eyebrows furrowed slightly, the fork poised midair. Settling the piece on the plate, he remained motionless. The laughter at his table evaporated, melting into a thick stillness. Marcus's heart plummeted, the air in his lungs heavy with dismay. Had it all been for nothing? A wave of doubt cascaded over him. Had he miscalculated? He could almost feel the sting of their laughter digging into him once more. But then, Mr. Chun broke the silence. "Interesting," he finally said, his voice low and measured, arms crossing over his chest. "You've managed to blend traditional and modern quite well." The shock of unexpected praise sent a charge through the throng of onlookers. But let us see if the follow-up matches the first impression. Marcus's pulse quickened at the challenge, a mix of hope and anxiety swirling within him. This wasn't just any critique, it was an invitation, laced with potential. Just as Marcus began to feel the spark of buoyancy, Mr. Chun leaned forward, eyes narrowing as he regarded Marcus more closely. "I'll give you one more chance, but it better impress me. You have my attention." The billionaire gestured grandly for Marcus to deliver more. igniting newfound determination in the young waiter. For the next hour, Marcus became a whirlwind in the kitchen, sweat trickling down his brow, driven by the desire to show just how serious he was. The night buzzed with excitement, patrons eagerly flipping through food carts, intrigued to see what this newcomer would concoct next. As he prepared his next creation, Marcus felt the burden of hope settle on his shoulders. He wasn't just cooking food. He was creating a narrative, a chance for recognition that could reshape his entire future. With every chop of the knife, he infused his essence into the dish, pouring every ounce of heart into it. When he finally emerged with the new offering, he spotted Mr. Chen again. The meals had already begun to catch the attention of his table, but the anxious energy still clung to him. Would this next attempt resonate the way he hoped? Here it is, Marcus said, steadier this time. Presenting his dish with a confidence he didn't know he possessed, the billionaire examined it, a glimmer of amusement in his eyes. Would admiration follow? How would his response shape Marcus's journey? As the fork once again hovered over the masterpiece, the crowd buzzed with excitement, unaware how pivotal this moment was for one young man chasing his dreams. What would be the outcome of this new creation? Would it break barriers, or would he step further into Mr. Chun's ridicule? A moment of truth loomed, as all eyes fell on the legendary billionaire, waiting for his verdict. Mr. Chun's fork finally descended onto the dish, slicing through the vibrant colors of Marcus's creation. The world around him fell silent. Even the distant sounds of sizzling meats and laughter faded into a tense hush. Every breath felt like an eternity, every heartbeat echoing in his ears. Was it the anticipation that gripped him, or the fear of falling short again? The billionaire's lips curled into a minimal grin as he brought the fork to his mouth. The crowd was electric, collective breaths held, as eyes darted between Marcus and Mr. Chun, each movement amplified like a movie frame by frame. The moment felt monumental. More than just a dish, it was a pivotal point in Marcus's life. He watched intently, desperate for a sign. Would he feel that rush of assurance, or be hit with the unwelcome weight of disappointment again? Mr. Chin chewed slowly, his expression inscrutable. Then, in a motion that seemed painfully deliberate, he swallowed. Marcus's heart raced, longing for Mr. Chun to articulate what flickered behind that calculative gaze. Suddenly, to Marcus's astonishment, Mr. Chun began to nod slowly, a shift from his usual stern demeanor. Now this is what I was hoping for, he declared, his voice low but infused with a warmth that filled the air. It was as if the weight of the world had been lifted off Marcus's shoulders, replaced by a wave of relief that coursed through him. The complexity, the boldness. You've truly put your spirit in this plate. How did you come up with such a combination? The crowd erupted in a mixture of gasps and claps, excitement swelling as the hum of conversation picked up once again. Marcus felt a grin spread across his face, a blend of disbelief and joy. Here, in the middle of a bustling food festival, his dreams were beginning to take a tangible shape. I wanted to pay homage to flavors from my upbringing, to tell a story with every ingredient, he managed to reply, feeling awash in a haze of exhilaration. Mr. Chun's brows lifted, intrigued. Tell me more about that story. The intricate layers of your past, they have potential. That's the essence of culinary art. Marcus's heart soared, not just because he had impressed Mr. Chun, but because someone was genuinely interested in hearing his voice, his experiences. As he spoke about his childhood meals, his mother's laughter filling their small kitchen, each detail flowed effortlessly. The words tumbled out, each one wrapping around the dishes he so carefully prepared, his passion igniting the air between them. The diners listened intently, caught in the web of his memories, their plates momentarily forgotten. Mr. Chen leaned in closer, his expression evolving from amusement to genuine intrigue. This isn't just about food. It's about creating connections. A great chef can do that. Can you see it? Marcus felt an invisible thread tugging at him, a pull towards something greater than he had ever imagined. But just when he felt he was on the brink of something remarkable, Mr. Chun's gaze turned serious again. Now, let us delve deeper, he said, voice low and intense. I want you to join me for a dinner next week at my private residence. I sense you have more to share than just dishes. Marcus's smile faltered momentarily. Dinner with Mr. Chin? The stakes were suddenly raised immensely. What did this mean? Was he stepping into a world far beyond the comfort zone of the festival kitchen? Will you do it? Mr. Chun pressed, and the energy around them crackled with possibility. Yes, absolutely, Marcus replied, the thrill of the unknown sparking excitement deep within. As the crowd erupted into applause, Marcus felt like he was on the precipice of a life-changing journey, one he had long yearned for. Yet behind the thrill, a lingering question brewed. What awaited him at Mr. Chin's table, and would he be ready for what came next? The week that followed buzzed with anticipation, each day feeling like a tightrope walk between excitement and anxiety. Marcus found himself engulfed in the swirl of colors and sounds around the food festival, but all he could think of was the dinner at Mr. Chun's residence. What would that evening hold? Would he be able to translate the fervor of the crowd's applause into something meaningful at that private table? Every time he cooked, each slice of garlic, each sprinkle of spice, felt different. His hands moved with a purpose, no longer just creating dishes meant to impress a crowd, but rather to connect, to tell a finer tale. With each simmering pot, he imagined the gleaming kitchen he might step foot into, the scrutiny of more than just judges, but a master of the culinary world. As he prepared himself for what felt like a life-changing night, Marcus found solace in the memories of his mother guiding him through their modest kitchen. He remembered her tender laughter and encouraging words echoing through every corner of the small apartment they shared. Cooking is love made visible, she always said, and he longed to convey that love through his food tonight. Finally, the day arrived. As the sun dipped low in the sky, painting everything in hues of orange and gold, Marcus brushed off the nerves lingering in his stomach. He put on his best shirt, simple yet sharp. The drive to Mr. Chun's estate felt surreal, the luxury of the surroundings sharpening the contrast between the enormity of the moment and the simplicity of his roots. When he pulled up to the sprawling home, a wave of apprehension washed over him. The grandeur of the estate seemed daunting, almost mocking. Marcus shook his head. It was just a house. He was there to share a meal, not to be intimidated. Entering through the large oak doors, he was greeted by the cool air of a well-appointed foyer. The walls were adorned with artwork that Marcus recognized might be priceless. He swallowed hard as he followed the soft glow of lights toward the dining room. The scent of roasted duck kissed his senses awake. The table was set elegantly, each fork and knife gleaming like a promise. Mr. Chin stood at the head, surveying everything with a keen eye. Marcus, he greeted warmly, motioning for him to come closer. Please sit. As Marcus took his seat, he felt small yet charged with determination. The other guests, an eclectic mix of culinary elites and influencers, exchanged curious glances. It was as if they were gauging whether the young chef could not only hold his own, but also bring something significant to the table d'honneur. Chun, sensing the tension, broke the ice. Shall we begin with your story? His eyes twinkled, a stark contrast to the imposing atmosphere around the table. Marcus felt a rush of warmth at Mr. Chun's genuine encouragement. Well, I'd like to take you back a little, he said, his voice steadying as he shared his childhood memories. With every word, the unfamiliar faces began to fade, leaving just him and his passion for cooking. He described the chaos of spices swirling in the kitchen, the happiness of family gatherings, and the intricate flavors that danced on every plate. Each guest leaned in a little closer, intrigued as they hung on his every word. There was laughter and nods of recognition as he painted the picture of food not just as nourishment, but as a language of connection that transcended barriers. As the narrative flowed, he felt Mr. Chun's piercing gaze on him, assessing yet supportive. With every laugh, every knowing smile, Marcus was transforming the skepticism into something vibrant. Yet, as he wrapped up his story, he could see doubt lingering in some eyes. Were they ready to accept him as part of their world? Marcus, Mr. Chin finally chimed in. What is it you fear most in your journey as a chef? The question hung in the air, heavy with potential. A wave of uncertainty crashed over Marcus again. Was it the competitiveness of the culinary world? The fear of being overlooked? Or was it the fear of losing the heart that made his dishes sing? He opened his mouth to respond, heart racing, filled with new doubts and realizations about his identity as a chef. I think he began, but the words hung in the air, waiting for the right moment to unfold into something meaningful. What could emerge that would not only define him, but change the course of his life forever? Marcus took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. The room grew quiet, anticipation hanging over the table like an unspoken promise. All eyes were on him, the weight of expectations pressing down. Why was it that every time he wanted to speak, the words felt like they were trapped somewhere between his mind and his lips? He had always made a connection through food, but this moment was different. It was raw and vulnerable, and he feared disappointing them all. I fear he paused, searching for the right words. I fear becoming someone that doesn't reflect where I came from. The admission struck a chord in him, the truth resonating louder than any meal he'd ever prepared. He looked around the table, gauging reactions. Heads nodded, expressions softened. It felt like an opening. His revelation seemed to spark something. My mother, he continued, voice steadying, she taught me that food is about sharing and love. It connects us. I'm terrified of losing that connection, of chasing accolades without the heart behind it. He could feel the sincerity in his voice wrapping around everybody at the table. What is the point of winning if you lose yourself? Mr. Chun's brow furrowed in thought, and for a moment, Marcus wasn't sure how he'd taken the answer. The other guests murmured amongst themselves, leaving Marcus spinning in a whirlwind of nerves. Meanwhile, his senses heightened. He could smell the duck roasting, hear the delicate clinking of glasses, and see the gleam of expectation in their eyes. Suddenly, Mr. Chun leaned forward, his gaze piercing. That's a strong foundation, Marcus. What will you do to nurture that connection? That was the question of his lifetime. Would he put pressure on his own shoulders, shape himself to fit into the expectations of the culinary elite? Or would he carve his own path, fueled by love and a passion rooted in honesty? I will center my cooking on those connections. I want to embrace my culture, the flavors and stories that shaped my upbringing, but I also want to learn from others. The room was silent, tension building as he continued. It doesn't have to be one or the other. A ripple of approval circulated among the guests. To his surprise, someone spoke up. You've got something, a seasoned chef said, leaning back, arms crossed. That perspective isn't found on every menu. It could change the way we think about food. Marcus's heart swelled. It felt like validation, a whisper of encouragement that he desperately needed. This was a moment that could redefine not just his evening, but his entire career. But just then, his mind flickered back to the fear, that gnawing doubt from earlier. What if they didn't believe in him? What if he failed to deliver the kind of food that lived up to those words? Fear is a natural part of human experience, Mr. Chen said, his voice breaking the spiraling thoughts. Quality always rises to the occasion. Trust your intuition, and let it guide your hands. The wisdom danced around the table, sinking into the hearts of those listening. At that moment, Marcus realized that it wasn't just about him anymore. He was carrying the stories of everyone who had ever shared a meal with him. This was bigger than accolades. It was legacy, a way to bring countless voices to the forefront of his creations. Taking a breath, he nodded to Mr. Chun. Then I will trust. I will blend my roots with what I learn. My cooking will reflect love, culture, and strength. The guests began murmuring again, this time with excitement. There was a shift in the atmosphere, a palpable spark of possibility. Marcus, Mr. Chin interrupted, his voice commanding yet imbued with warmth. Tonight, it's your turn to share that connection. How about we start with your first course? It was as if an electric current shot through him. Here at this table, he could finally weave the stories, flavors, and love he so desperately wanted to share. He stood, heart pounding, excitement bubbling within him. This was his moment. Yet, as he gathered his thoughts, he couldn't shake the feeling that something more significant lay ahead. Would this evening shape a future he dared to dream of? He just had to take that first step toward the kitchen, toward bringing those words into reality. But first, as he took a step towards the kitchen, the thought lingered. What if he stumbled? Would they embrace him, or would he find himself lost amidst the tantalizing aromas and critical gazes? Marcus fought against the doubt, his pulse racing as he walked towards the stove. Next came the test of faith. Could he truly deliver what he promised? Marcus felt a blitz of nerves as he approached the stove. The kitchen was a world of its own, an orchestra of sizzling sounds, vibrant colors, and tantalizing aromas inviting him to step fully into the role he had long dreamed of. The memories of his mother guiding his smaller hands through the process of cooking filled him with warmth. Her laughter echoed in his mind, reminding him that cooking was more than just skill. It was a dance of flavors, a celebration of heritage. Now, each ingredient laid out before him seemed to hold its own story. Fresh ginger, bright and fiery, spoke of the evenings spent peeling it away with her. Cilantro, fragrant and refreshing, whispered tales of family feasts that stretched into the night, where stories were shared alongside bowls of steaming rice. With each chop, dice, and sprinkle, Marcus felt a renewed sense of purpose. Focus, he murmured to himself. This was his chance, his opportunity to create a dish that honored his upbringing, while also embracing the culinary artistry he had learned along the way. The pressure was immense, but he channeled it like a craftsman honing his skills. He deftly tossed ingredients into a hot pan, the sounds of cooking filling the air, sizzling, popping, and the satisfying aroma that began to rise. His chest swelled with pride. He mixed flavors, inspiration bubbling inside him like the boiling broth that simmered on the stove. This wasn't tea, just food. This was a reflection of his identity. Moments later, a soft voice broke through the clamor of the kitchen. It was Emma, one of the other chefs, watching him work. She had been quietly supportive, offering encouragement when he felt uncertain. "It smells incredible, Marcus. What are you making?" He turned slightly, heart racing as he met her gaze. "It's a fusion of my mom's braised duck with an Asian twist. I want to show how flavors from different cultures can come together." Emma smiled brightly, her enthusiasm contagious. "You've got this. Show them what you can do." Her words ignited a fire in him. He continued to mix and season, each movement becoming more fluid, more confident. As the first course neared completion, visions of what the guests might think danced in his mind. Would they see the heart behind it? Would they taste his vulnerability, his joy, his heritage? Finally, he plated the dish with care, arranging the duck in a way that mirrored the love and effort he poured into it. The vibrant colors were a feast for the eyes, a harmonious blend of vegetables and sauce that glistened invitingly. "All right, here goes nothing," he whispered to himself before turning away from the stove and grabbing the plates. As he entered the dining area, the murmurs hushed. Every pair of eyes turned to him. A mixture of curiosity and anticipation painted across their faces. He felt the weight of their gazes, yet it no longer felt suffocating. Instead, it lifted him higher, urging him forward. "Ladies and gentlemen," he announced, trying to keep his voice steady. "Tonight, I present to you my interpretation of the duck dish that always reminded me of home, infused with flavors of my journey through culinary exploration." He carefully set down each plate before the guests, offering glimpses of how he had poured himself into every bite. The aroma wafted through the air, drawing appreciative smiles from the guests. Marcus stood back and watched as they lifted their forks, a moment filled with tension and hope. Each bite would be a reflection of his promise, but also a test of his fears. The room buzzed with silence, then erupted into whispers as the first taste hit their tongues. Suddenly, Mr. Chun let out a surprised gasp, eyes widening in pleasure. "Incredible!" he exclaimed, the passion in his voice resonating around the table that as the guests dove into their meals. Marcus felt a swell of emotions crashing over him. Could this finally be the turning point he had been dreaming of? But in the middle of his moment, a shadow flickered at the edge of his mind, a reminder of the struggles yet to come. What if the rest of the meal didn't go as smoothly? What if the next courses didn't carry the same magic? With his heart still racing, he glanced around the table, watching the diners savor each bite. But his thoughts surged. How could he maintain this momentum? Could he keep the connection alive as he moved forward? The kitchen awaited, and with it, his next challenge. Yet as he turned back towards the stove, he felt a thrill of possibility. The night was just beginning. What would happen next? Would he bring each course to life, just as he had with the first? Marcus returned to the kitchen, heart pounding with a mix of exhilaration and anxiety. The first course had gone off without a hitch, but the night was still young, and the next dishes loomed ahead like dark clouds on the horizon. He needed to keep the energy alive, to ride the wave of enthusiasm he had just generated. He hastily gathered his ingredients for the main dish, a delicate fusion of spicy stir-fried noodles inspired by his late-night cooking sessions with friends and the creamy, soul-soothing garlic sauce his mother had used back home. As he prepped, the sounds of clinking dishes and quiet laughter drifted from the dining room, wrapping around him like a warm embrace. "Come on, Marcus, you've got this," he whispered, barely recognizing the tension in his voice. He could visualize each step, the way the noodles would come alive in the hot pan, how the colors would dance together. Confidence surged, but a nagging doubt lingered. What if this dish failed to measure up? Would the guests lose their interest, turning their backs to him? He quickly set to work, the rhythm of chopping vegetables loud and assertive in his ears. With every slice, each flick of the wrist, he felt the familiar tug of nostalgia, his mother guiding him, singing softly as they cooked together. "Garlic, ginger, and onions first," he murmured, energizing himself with the smells wafting from the pan. In the back of his mind, the constant ticking of the clock reminded him of time slipping away. As he tossed everything together, each ingredient melded into a vibrant tapestry, alive with color and fragrance. It was about more than just food. It was about connection, about telling the story of his life in dreams and sweat. Suddenly, Emma appeared at his shoulder again, peering into the pan. "It looks amazing. What is the secret in there?" Her enthusiasm pulled him out of his thoughts, her smile boosting his morale. "Just a little bit of everything. A pinch of memories and a sprinkle of love," he joked, and they shared a laugh. With the pan now sizzling furiously, Marcus added the noodles and tossed them with practiced ease, letting the heat ignite the flavors. The spicy aroma began to fill the kitchen, wrapping around him like an old coat. Comforting and familiar, he turned to grab the finishing touches from the fridge, feeling a renewed sense of purpose. Tonight was about more than impressing the guests. It was about sharing who he was and where he came from. But just as certainty began to settle in, a loud crash echoed from the dining area, yanking him back to the present. Startled, he exchanged a concerned glance with Emma. "What was that?" "Let us check it out," she suggested, her brow furrowed. Marcus wiped his hands on a kitchen towel and followed her through the door. As he entered, he saw Mr. Chun standing, indignant, a piece of cutlery lying broken on the floor next to him. The other guests were murmuring softly, their delight momentarily shattered by the unexpected scene. "Everything all right, Mr. Chun?" Marcus asked, his voice steady but tinged with concern. Mr. Chun focused on Marcus, his expression severe. "I expect more from this dining experience." That was just a small taste of what real culinary skill can deliver. A hush fell over the room, and Marcus felt heat rise to his cheeks. This was not how he envisioned the night. But as he opened his mouth to respond, a wave of resilience washed over him. He had come too far to back down now. This was his moment to rise, not just as a chef, but as someone who would not be silenced by criticism or doubt. "Let me show you the next course," he said, grounding his voice with conviction. "And I promise you'll see what I can do." He turned back towards the kitchen, his heart racing, ready to face whatever challenge awaited him in preparing his final dishes. Could he transform this moment of tension back into an opportunity for creative expression? The night was still young, and each plate of food was his chance to change the narrative. Would he succeed, or would Mr. Chin's words reverberate in his mind as the night went on? The stakes were high, but so was the potential for greatness. Marcus stepped back into the kitchen, the weight of Mr. Chin's words lingering like an unwelcome shadow. The glowing burners felt almost mocking as he turned his focus back to the ingredients spread before him. There was no escaping it now. The night demanded his full attention that he took a deep breath, trying to steady the storm brewing inside him. Each breath ignited a flicker of resolve. This next dish, he was determined. This would encapsulate everything that mattered. Memories shared with family, the laughter of friends, the joy inherent in cooking. He imagined the taste of success dancing on his palate. "Okay," he said to himself, hands flying into action. "Time to create magic." With practiced precision, he began to measure out spices, a mix of bold and subtle flavors. As he whisked the garlic sauce, the smoothness reminded him of comforting moments spent in his childhood kitchen, chuckling with his mother as they concocted their secret family recipes. He could almost hear her voice again, a soft melody urging him on. The fire in the pan crackled, welcoming the array of vegetables he tossed in: bright red bell peppers, tender green snap peas, and crisp carrots, all dancing in unison with the heat, making the room spring to life. As he stirred vigorously, he felt Emma's presence behind him, a steady reminder that he wasn't alone in this. "What do you need?" she asked, her eyes bright with curiosity. "Can you pass me the soy sauce?" he replied, not missing a beat. She grabbed it from the counter and held it up, a smirk curling on her lips. "Just like your mom taught you, huh?" Marcus chuckled, a warm flutter washing over him. "Always. It's not just about the food, it's about the story." As he poured the soy sauce into the mix, the sound of it sizzling was music to his ears. He closed his eyes for a second, allowing memories to envelop him. Late-night cook-offs with friends, embarking on culinary adventures, laughter filling the air as they competed for the best flavor combinations. The camaraderie fueled him, grounding him in his purpose. Suddenly, there was another crash from the dining room. He tensed, but immediately was put at ease by Emma's reassuring presence. "It's just Mr. Chun," she promised, rolling her eyes playfully. "He probably dropped his napkin." Marcus couldn't help but smile, but remained focused as he added the noodles, twirling them through the mixture. They absorbed the spices, flavor exploding with every vocalized stir. He felt an electric energy rising within him. Yes, he could turn doubt into resilience. He could reclaim the night. "I need to plate this," he said, determination settling in. "Let me help." Emma chimed in, her enthusiasm infectious. Together, they arranged the food on the plates, colors vibrant and textures inviting. Marcus could already see the guests' eyes lighting up when they were served. As he glanced around the kitchen, chaos transformed into purposeful movement. There was something profoundly beautiful about teamwork, the amalgamation of different spirits working to create something remarkable. Once satisfied with the presentation, Marcus breathed deeply. "All right, let us turn this around," he declared, cracking a confident smile. He was ready to serve the main course. Just as he pushed through the door to the dining area, he felt a surge of energy and warmth envelop him. This was his moment to shine, to connect, and to remind everyone, including Mr. Chun, of the joy that cooking could bring. However, when he entered the room, the atmosphere felt thick, heavier than before. All eyes turned toward him not with anticipation, but with trepidation. Wasn't he prepared for what awaited him? Would he be met with approval or further disdain? What happens next could change everything he thought, pulse racing as he crossed the threshold. Marcus stepped into the dining room, feeling the intensity stick to him like a thick fog. He swallowed hard but took a solid breath, determined, resolute. The plates gleamed under the soft lighting, glowing with life, each one telling a story crafted from his heart and memories. As he approached the table, the air buzzed with an electrifying tension. Mr. Chin sat front and center, arms crossed, an eyebrow raised, a challenge that spurred Marcus forward. He placed the first plate down before Mr. Chun with careful precision, pride surging through him. "Tonight," Marcus began, voice steady, "I present to you a fusion of my upbringing, a comforting stir-fry with a kick, combining my mother's recipes with my culinary adventures." He felt the eyes of the guests pierce through him, curiosity and skepticism mingling. It only took a glance at Mr. Chun's serious demeanor to rekindle that flicker of determination simmering within him. "I've poured every ounce of love into this dish because cooking is about connection, flavor, and heart." As he served the other guests, he noticed their reactions begin to shift. Their curiosity morphed into anticipation, lips curling into smiles, forks lifting with eager hands. "Let us see what you've got," Mr. Chin challenged, breaking the silence. Each plate settled before its diner, Marcus stepping back to watch. It was almost like art in motion. Beauty lived in the presentation, yet comfort thrived in the aroma. He held his breath, eyes darting between plates and faces, heart pounding like an excited drum. And then, the first bite. Slowly, forks pierced through noodles, soft smiles emerging as flavors erupted. Gasps filled the room, laughter laced with amazement rising like steam off a hot pot. "This is extraordinary," one guest exclaimed, eyes widening. "A burst of flavor." Another added, "How do you make it so comforting yet vibrant?" The ripple of praise flooded the air, transforming tension into a jubilant hum. Marcus felt relief wash over him, a euphoric swell of validation igniting the embers of his soul. He had captured the essence of connection in his dish. His family, his struggles, and now, his triumph were all present on that table. Just as a wave of sweet relief crashed over him, Mr. Chin set his fork down and leaned back, eyebrows drawn together in contemplation. This, his voice softened, is impressive. Marcus's heart leapt. The words hung in the air, a beacon of acknowledgement. But the cautious tension returned as Mr. Chun continued. However, I still have questions about your direction. Your roots are evident, but what about your passion? How are you planning to grow as a chef? The room quieted, all eyes on Marcus once more. It seemed like a vulnerable moment, like the whole world waited for his next words to either affirm or sink the ship. Could he translate this moment into lifelong growth? Was he ready for that? I've thought a lot about this, he replied, gathering his thoughts. My story inspired this dish, but I also want to embrace and incorporate new experiences. Food brings us together, passing down traditions while celebrating those of others. I want my cuisine to tell a tale with every flavor, forging connections across different backgrounds. He saw nods of agreement ripple through the guests, encouragement flickering like a spark of light. He felt more grounded, the weight on him lessening. Suddenly, Mr. Chun's expression shifted, a glimmer of respect sparking in his eyes. Then let us see how you can expand that, Mr. Chin stated, standing. I believe in nurturing that potential. I'd like to partner with you on a pop-up restaurant. We can showcase your brilliant fusion of flavors and culture. Its honesty and vibrance can transform perspectives. The room erupted into applause, disbelief and joy mixing like delicious flavors in a pot. Marcus stood, breathless. This was the moment he had dreamed about, the chance to take his experiences and share them with the world. Against all odds, he stepped up, facing the very man who had tried to put him down only to rise higher than ever before. Tears pricked at the corners of his eyes, but he blinked them back, ready to embrace the journey ahead. Thank you so much, he exclaimed, heart racing. I won't let you down. This is just the beginning. In that bustling restaurant, every heart resonated with renewed hope and inspiration. Marcus felt reborn, carrying not just his dreams, but the dreams of those he loved most, transforming moments of laughter and tears into a feast that would connect everybody. The night wore on, laughter and joy echoing through the air. Contentment wrapped around Marcus as he celebrated with his newfound community. He realized that this wasn't just about food. This was love, unfiltered and alive, served hot and fresh, connecting everyone at that table. He was ready to elevate his craft, to blend cultures and flavors without losing the core of himself. No more doubts. The world would know his name, his story, and the heart that beats in every dish he created. And with that, a journey of authenticity began, one that would carve a place in the culinary world, all grounded in love. Now more than ever, Marcus felt alive, and he knew this was only the beginning. That if you feel inspired by this journey, if you sense the strength of transformation, then you need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support for more incredible stories. Don't wait not even one more second. Leave a like now to fuel our community. What are your thoughts? Drop a comment below to share your reactions and feelings about the ending. And don't forget to share instantly this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this transformation. Let us grow together.